Hello students. Today we are going to study about Ampere's circuital law. It is very much similar to the Gauss law in electrostatics. In electrostatics you had studied that to find the electric field intensity you can use the Coulomb's law. Is it not? Using Coulomb's law we can find out the electric field intensity. But if we have specific charge distributions like a sphere which is charged or a plane surface which is charged or a charged cylinder or a rod which is charged, it is for such charge distributions it is easier to use the Gauss law for finding the electric field intensity. And what was the Gauss law? That closed integral E bar dot ds bar is equal to q upon epsilon naught. We take, in this case, while applying the Gauss law, we used to consider a Gaussian surface. We used a closed Gaussian surface and then we found out the electric field intensity at small areas over that surface, and then we integrated the whole surface, and thus we found out that E dot ds, is it not? And that was equal to q, where q was the charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface, upon epsilon naught, where epsilon naught is the permittivity of the free space. So as you have seen, you would have realized that there is a correlation between electrostatics and magnetism. So just like that, we have an Ampere's law to find the magnetic field intensity at any given point due to a distribution of currents. Okay, there we had distribution of charges, but in magnetism we do not have magnetic monopoles existing, is it not? So we find out over the distribution of currents, because we know we get magnetic field whenever there is current flowing, right? So this is Ampere's law, which is very much similar to the Gauss law in electrostatics. Now let's see what is this Ampere's law. Ampere's law states that the line integration v bar dot dl bar for a closed curve is equal to mu naught times the net current I through the area bounded by the curve. Okay, and equation for Ampere's law is closed integral b bar dot dl bar is equal to mu naught I. You can see that b bar, that is the magnetic field intensity, is a vector quantity. dl, that is the length, that is also a vector quantity, and we are taking a dot product of this to get a scalar quantity, that is current. Current is a scalar quantity. So we are getting b bar dot dl bar is equal to mu naught into I, where mu naught is the permeability. Mu naught is the permeability. Now let's understand what exactly is given over here. Okay, so suppose we have a distribution of currents like this. Now I am just drawing a cross section of 4 wires which are going inside this screen. Okay, so I have a wire, I'm just drawing the cross section of 4 wires. These are the 4 wires. Now the current is flowing in different direction. Okay, these are not circular wires, they are straight wires which are going inside your screen. Okay, so they are carrying current in different directions. Let me call this wire as 1, this as 2, this as 3, and this as 4. So the wire 1 is carrying a current which is coming out of the screen. It is coming out of the screen. So it is shown by a dot. The wire 2 is carrying a current which is going inside the screen, into the screen. So you know that that is shown by a cross. 3 is carrying a current which is coming outside. So say it is shown by a dot. And 4 again is carrying a current which is going inside. Let me call these currents as I1, I2, I3 and I4. Okay, Now I want to find out magnetic field intensity due to the currents I1, I2 and I3 only. I do not want current I4. I want to find the magnetic field intensity at a given point, say this, due to the charge distribution, due to the currents I1, I2 and I3. So what will I do? I will consider a circular loop. I will consider a circular loop which passes through this particular point P, where we want to find the magnetic field intensity. So I will draw a circular loop passing through this particular point. Now somehow that loop has got shifted. I'll shift my point. Okay, suppose this is the particular point, right? Now I'm not going to include I4 because I don't want the effect of I4. I want only because of I1, I2 and I3. So according to this Ampere's law, what am I going to do? How is the process we are going to apply? Since I have more than one direction of current and many wires carrying this current, I am going to fix a direction in which I will traverse this Ampere's loop. I have drawn a curve which is enclosing I1, I2 and I3. This particular loop is called as the Amperian loop. It is called as the Amperian loop. Just as the Gaussian surface, this is the Amperian loop. This is not a closed figure. Okay, it is not a closed surface. It is just like a ring. So we call it as the Amperian loop. Now I am going to decide a direction in which I will traverse this Amperian loop. So suppose I decide the direction that I am going to traverse it in the anti-clockwise direction. I suppose decide the anti-clockwise direction. Okay. Now what am I going to do is, what is it? We have to find integral B dot dl. So at this particular point, say P, what is the direction of B? The direction of B is going to be different. B is different because of I1, I2, I3. Is it not? If I consider I1, the direction of B is going to be different. So I'll just write, say that the net field over here at point P is B. Then what are we going to do? We are going to find that dl. That also we can find out. What we want to see over here is the I. How do you find the I? I is the current enclosed by this loop. Okay, so I cannot just write I1 plus I2 plus I3, three currents, because the directions are different for these currents, right? So I consider I1. I is equal to, first let me take I1. Now what is, should I take plus I1 or minus I1 depends on the magnetic field produced by this I1. What is the direction of magnetic field produced by I1? By using the right hand thumb rule. See, if the current is coming out, you use the right hand thumb rule, and the direction in which the fingers curl give us the direction of the magnetic field. So since I1 is coming out of your screen, the direction of current is also like this. It is matching with the direction in which we are traversing the loop. So I take it as plus I1. For I2, the current is going to be, the magnetic field is going to be in the clockwise direction. So it is in the opposite direction to what we have considered. So I will take minus I2 and plus I3. What about I4? I will not consider I4 because it is not inside the loop. It is not inside the Amperian loop. So I am not going to consider I4 at all. So my total current is I equal to I1 minus I2 plus I3. This is my I. And what about this dl? How do you calculate integral dl? Just as what we did for Gauss' law, no? You have to do the same thing. We will be using dl, a small length over here, find the magnetic field, and then integrate over the entire surface. So small such dl's we are going to add, and that's how we will get integral dl. Okay, so this is the Ampere's law. You will understand it better when we study the applications of this Ampere's law. Okay, so now let's see the first application, where we have to find the magnetic field due to a straight long conductor carrying current I. So we have this conductor which is carrying current I in this particular direction. It is carrying current in the upward direction. Okay, so now how to find the current or magnetic field due to this? Suppose we have to find the magnetic field due to this current carrying conductor at point P. This is our point P. I want to find B, that is the magnetic field at point P. So what is our first step? We imagine an Amperian loop. So here we are going to consider in form of a circle. Now for the sake of symmetry and easy calculations, I have considered the Amperian loop to be in form of a circle passing through point P and having center as the conductor. So the conductor, this current carrying conductor, is at the center. It is over here. Okay, suppose this radius is small r. P is at a point distance r from the conductor. Now at every point on this loop, Amperian loop, what will be the direction of B and what will be the direction of dl? See how, what will be the direction of B? It will be tangential to this loop. It will be in this direction, because see, use your right hand, point the thumb in the direction of the current and see where are your fingers curling along the loop in the anti-clockwise direction, is it not? So at point P, the direction of magnetic field, I can say it is tangential. And what about that small area dl? That dl is also a small area, length over here. So that direction is also tangential to this loop. So both B bar and dl bar are both in the same direction. They are parallel to each other. So I can say that if theta is the angle between B bar and dl bar, theta is equal to 0. Okay, theta is equal to 0. So what will I get? B bar dot dl bar, the scalar product of B bar and dl bar, that is equal to B dl cos theta. And theta is 0, so I'll get B dl cos 0, and cos 0 is 1. So B bar dot dl bar will be B dl. I'll just get it as B dl. Okay. Now let's use our Ampere's circuital law or the Ampere's law. What was that? Ampere's law is B bar dot dl bar, integration of that is equal to mu naught I, where I is the current enclosed by the loop, is it not? So I will get closed integral B bar dot dl was just B dl. So I'll just write B dl. B dl is equal to mu naught I. So B is anyways constant at all the points on the loop, because the loop is equidistant from the conductor. Conductor is at the center, no? So B is constant everywhere. So B I can take out common. B came out of the integration sign. Integral dl is equal to mu naught I. So B integral dl means what? Add up all this small dl. It is a circle. So when you add all those dl's, it will form a circle. So we will get it as the circumference of the circle. Radius is small r. So I will get it as B into 2 pi r is equal to mu naught I. So B is equal to mu naught I upon 2 pi r. So what is this? This is the magnetic field due to a current carrying conductor at a distance r. Okay, using Biot-Savart's law also you had got this same answer, same equation, is it not? So using Ampere's law, this method is a little bit easier, and here it was just a case of a conductor. In the next video we will see how to apply this Ampere's law to a solenoid and to a toroid. Okay, so thank you.